On this episode of UTR, we start off in awesome Alpena with some outstanding art that's up in a loft. We also meet a talented young couple who are bringing fresh food to Alpena, one pallet at a time, and even go to a surreal place where you can find a real lot of fossils. Then we head back to Great Grand Rapids for a trip back to the 70s, a finer diner, and a Michigan-made guitar that will rock your socks off. It's all on UTR.
Under the Radar Michigan is brought to you in part by the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, investing in people, places, and partnerships to help transform Michigan and the Michigan economy. In cities, towns, and neighborhoods, people are building better places to live and better communities.
We all have one, that perfect spot, a special place we go to smooth out the ripples of the day. Our perfect spot is calling. Our perfect spot is Pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.
And by Big B Coffee, celebrating 18 years as a Michigan company. Gift cards, mugs, and coffee by the pound available in store and online. Franchise info available at biggby.com.
I've been around the world, but there's one place I keep coming back to. And the more I explore, the more I realize it's the place to be. I'm Tom Dalton, and this is Under the Radar Michigan. Now, if you're in need of a good reason to come to Alpena, don't worry, just sit back, relax, and enjoy that beverage and savory snack, because I got a bunch for you.
That's right, we're on our way to Alpena. And on the way up, Jim and Eric even let me navigate for a while. And after a quick stop for directions, sort of, we were back on track. Boy, that guy was a big help. And I do mean big. Alpena is another one of those northern Michigan towns that kind of has everything. A vibrant downtown with cool shops, awesome eateries and fresh local cuisine, tons of great activities and outdoors to explore, and more beautiful Lake Huron shoreline than you can shake an anchor at. It's a boater's paradise and an internationally known dive destination with hundreds of historic shipwrecks right offshore. If you're looking for something cool to do, you won't have to look hard here. Alpena is located in northeast Lower Michigan, right on the shores of beautiful Thunder Bay.
You know, to me, the arts are like the icing on the great cake of life. And you know me, I like a lot of icing.
And if you're a lover of the arts, whatever kind you're into, Art in the Loft will teach it to you, display it for you, sell it to you, and even let you just look at it for a while. To say this place is cool is a huge understatement. The gallery is located on the third floor of the historic Center building in a spacious loft setting overlooking downtown Alpena and Lake Huron. The loft has a great atmosphere that blends small-town charm with a great cosmopolitan vibe. There was a cooking class I really wanted to check out that day, but before I got aproned up, I spent a few artful minutes with Linda Sunnison.
This place, the space, first of all, is incredible. It's like an ultra-hip, one-stop art fulfillment shop. How many different disciplines are offered here?
We have paintings and sculpture and glassware and jewelry, 5, 6, 7, 8 mediums.
But this space is not just a place to learn, it's also, there's exhibits here.
We hold 2 exhibits a year. We have our Summer View exhibit, runs from May to October. And this year we have 38 artists in our Summer View season. And then we take a break for a month and we do our major fundraiser in November. Then we run from November to March. And then we take a break. In the month of April, we devote just to Young Artist Exhibit, which is artwork from over 600 students in all the surrounding counties and Alpena County.
Well, whose wonderfully creative idea was this?
It started with about 5 or 6 artists. I think the main focus was Karen Bennett, who is the owner of the Center building. And she donated the space, and it's grown and become so much more over the years, and such a community facility as well.
I was going to say, a facility like this must be so embraced by the community because it brings everybody together here.
We have wonderful community support. And the programs, we have art programs for children all during the month of April and during the summer. We have intermediate art workshops throughout the year. And now with the addition of our Culinary Arts Center, we started our first classes in there at the end of August.
Oh, the culinary arts?
Yes.
So I could actually cook?
Well, I don't know if you can, but you have the opportunity to cook.
Well said.
Cheryl Bates is one of the culinary arts instructors here at Art in the Loft, and her specialty is food that tastes good and is uber good for you. And little did she know, I actually play a fourth-degree foodie on TV.
So what kind of cuisine are we cooking?
Today we're focusing on 3 different kinds of squash. And we're going to make a stuffed delicata squash with a lentil rice stuffing. We are also going to make quinoa meatballs served on spaghetti squash.
Okay.
And we're going to make butternut squash soup, and the difference with that one is that it is not a cream-based soup.
Good. I'm watching my waistline.
That's
okay,
right.
Great. All right. How rewarding is it to teach people how to eat healthy and how to eat right?
What I really enjoy is when we talk about eating healthy and people try it at home and they say, oh, wow, if that's what eating healthy is all about, I'm in.
Well, after some chopping, mixing, laughing, and learning, we produced a healthy and artful meal fit for a TV show host. And there's no better way to enjoy your work than to, well, sit down and enjoy it with great people. And when all was said and we were done, Cheryl gave me a job truly fitting of my talents in the kitchen.
Hey, how are those meatballs? But they turned out really good. Ow, I broke a nail. Why tonight? Oh.
Just like laughter is the natural byproduct of a good joke, art is the natural byproduct of the human spirit. It's how we celebrate life. And at Art in the Loft, they celebrate life every day.
You know, so often kids graduate from school and they move away from home to explore the world. But a lot of times they come back. Well, here's a guy that came back and brought a lot of really good food with him. Bonus.
Eric and Stacy Peterson live, breathe, sleep, and cook great and healthy food for this community. They've created a food destination called the Fresh Palate, and foodies from farther than far are finding it. The atmosphere is positive and energetic, the dinner's delightfully diverse, and the menu is so fun and creative, it won't even dawn on you that you're doing your body right. And speaking of bodies, every body we talked to loved everything about this place.
It's one of my favorite places because the food's fresh and interesting flavor combinations, and it's always something different.
It's unique, it's fun, it's young, it's always a great time.
Eric and Stacy do a great job with giving a unique flavor to Alpena and kind of giving a little bit different place to go out to eat.
They're just really hard workers and good people, so we try to support them, but it's a great restaurant.
Especially for like a small town like this, to have something that you can come to and enjoy, it's really good. Really, really good.
Now, you guys both grew up here in Alpena.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But Eric, you moved away to study culinary arts?
Culinary arts, yes I did.
Where'd you go?
Well, I went to school in Portland, Oregon at Western Culinary Institute and studied in San Francisco, over in Hawaii, and back in Portland.
What brought you back here?
I thought this area was missing something, and so I thought, hey, I could bring this back to the Midwest and make it go.
What is your philosophy on food?
Start with fresh ingredients and you get a fresh, great product in the end, is basically all it is.
How has the community embraced what you're doing here?
Actually, it's been incredible. In the beginning, it was a little like, really, you guys want to do that? And people are a little intimidated, but I feel like we've almost educated people as we grow. And we've created a whole new kind of trend of eating, and like, to me, that is the most amazing thing, to be able to allow people to have food that tastes good, but it makes you feel good at the same time.
Yeah, you guys are really selling good health that tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
And since I started eating that way, I don't miss the other stuff. I actually crave the stuff I eat, and I feel so much better. I have so much more energy. It's not growing any more hair on my head, unfortunately. But and speaking of hair, Eric, I have to ask, is your head on fire, or is that your hair?
Yeah, well, it sort of is. I like to change it up. It's a good advertising ploy for me. Lots of people come in and check it out.
At least you have options.
I still have options, so I'm doing well I can.
So if your palate needs some freshening, stop in and see Eric and Stacy at the Fresh Palate. They've got plenty of healthy plates that'll please you. You know, just outside of Alpena is a really cool and interesting place to go explore. So I found a really cool and interesting person to take me there. Pretty cool, huh? Not only is Mary Beth Stutzman the head of the CVB in these parts, she also happens to be a lover of the great outdoors and even an amateur geologist. And she was my pick to show me a fascinating state park called Rockport. You know what's so neat about this park is it's It's beautiful, but it's bizarre looking at the same time. This looks like a lunar landscape.
It really is. It's like walking onto a different planet almost.
Totally.
And that's because it used to be an old limestone quarry. So all of this is all of these big piles of rock, and you can see some of the steel structure over there from some of the buildings are left over from the mining operation.
Hence the name Rockport.
Right, it's a port and they ship rocks out of it. And one of the reasons why Rockport is a recreation area instead of just a regular state park is because we have 2 other state parks in the area that protect pristine natural environments.
Yeah.
And this is the place that adds to that complement of that kind of trifecta of state recreation park areas. People can come here and be active.
I just read that this is Michigan's 100th state park.
Yes, 100th State Park. It was dedicated in 2012. And there's so many interesting things here. It's a great place for biking and hiking. There are about a dozen sinkholes you can trek back into the woods to look at.
Oh, we love sinkholes.
There's a bat hibernaculum. About 3 different species of bat hibernate here at the park.
Hibernaculum?
Hibernaculum.
Was that their bedroom?
Big word. I don't know. That's where they hang out.
That's where they sleep. This is breathtaking. This is beautiful. You've got, like I said, this lunar landscape over the forest. You've got the lake, you've got the big old metal structure sticking out. It's so surreal. It's awesome.
Yep.
Well, if the views at Rockport alone aren't worth the visit, next Mary Beth and I made our way back down to lake level, hit the trails, and traveled about 400 million years back in time.
So part of the cool thing about Rockport is that there is a 300-acre limestone quarry on site, which means lots of fossils from the Devonian period.
Oh, that's past the Daldonian period, because I go back to the 1900s.
During the Paleozoic era, about 400 million years ago. But if you take a look, this is a time when this region was covered by kind of a coral sea. So you'll find lots of brachiopods, corals.
You know what's great about this is you can bring the kids here and guaranteed they're going to find
You trip over fossils. There's
Right.
so many. You don't have to look very hard. And what is stellar about Rockport is that each individual is allowed to take 25 pounds of rocks home with them.
That's why I have the basket
That's
on
why
your...
I have the bike basket. Let's get collecting.
Incredible. This is like a look back in time, totally. Look at this one. You can totally tell this is a little invertebrate, little animal.
And here, I like these ones. They're sparkly. Probably because I'm a girl.
Rockport State Park really is one of the most surreal and unique places I've ever been. And it really made our trip to Alpena worthwhile. But that's not hard to do because every time we come back, we find more to love about this great town. So whether your creative cravings are man-made or the natural kind, Alpena has your appetite for fun written all over it. You know, some people call Grand Rapids the city of today, tomorrow, but I call it the city of tomorrow, today, yesterday, and even the day after tomorrow. Wait a minute. What I'm actually trying to say is that when it comes to a good-sized city, Grand Rapids has a good amount of everything you need for an awesome quality of life. From its great restaurants and braggable breweries to its rich history and booming business climate, this is a world-class city that's right in your own backyard. Grand Rapids is located right here. Another thing I love about Grand Rapids is that it's such a museum-rich city. Right downtown, you've got an array of awesome institutions where you can expand your mind and get completely lost in human accomplishments and expression. For starters, there's the Grand Rapids Art Museum, which offers an incredible look into the art of man. And the building is almost a work of art itself. It's a LEED-certified green-friendly structure that's specifically designed to connect you with the art. This place has a fascinating and diverse collection of works from around the art world, and all ages come to enjoy and learn from it. Next up, and just across the Grand River, you'll find the Grand Rapids Public Museum, a place where learning is so interesting and so much fun, you might not even notice it's happening. This place combines science, history, art, and entertainment with immersive and interactive displays that'll really make you stop, smile, and think. It's all about mankind's achievements and how they influence the way we live, work, and experience the world around us. This place is so cool, you'll probably be making plans to come back before you even leave. And don't worry, Grand Rapids hasn't forgotten about the smaller people in our lives. The Grand Rapids Children's Museum is a place for the whole family where kids can explore the world around them. This place really celebrates childhood and the joy of learning. And the cool thing is, It's an interactive, hands-on environment that totally inspires learning and discovery. It also helps kids with development and self-expression. This place has it all: art, science, engineering, and math. And it's all in fun and colorful spaces that encourage young minds to grow.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you a live message from the Oval Office at the White House.
Well, I may not be the president, but I still got a pretty important message for you.
And that message is that you need to visit the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Library and Museum in downtown Grand Rapids. It's a fascinating place chock full of fun and history. Not to mention an up-close and personal experience with our 38th president, Gerald R. Ford. After a polite yet strong suggestion that I vacate the Oval Office, I met up with Kristen Mooney. She's a public affairs specialist here at the museum, and her mission was to make sure I learned and behaved.
You know what I love about this museum? Not only does it pay tribute to the presidency and to Gerald Ford, but it's a great way to take a step back in time to a decade that was, I mean, there was so much happening in the 70s.
There were a lot of things going on, a lot of social unrest, social movements.
What kind of guy was Gerald Ford?
Well, he was very Midwestern. He was down home, wanted to do well for the citizens that he represented, and that was being a congressman or being a vice president or then being president.
And you mentioned you've been here 16 years.
Yeah.
Which means A, you started when you were a baby, and B, you must love it here.
I do. I've always wanted to work with history, and politics is great, and so here I get the best of both worlds.
Well, thanks for picking my favorite decade.
Thank you.
Want to see me disco dance?
Yeah.
You do?
Sure.
I'll have to practice first. It's been a while.
As you walk through the museum, you're literally surrounded by the historic sights and sounds of the 70s. And with some exhibits, you can walk right into history.
Now, for people who don't know, what happens in the cabinet room?
This is where the president gets information about the decisions he's making.
Well, what's neat about this is I'd never get the chance to go in the real cabinet room in the White House. Right. There's no way. But to come in here and see, I mean, this is an exact replica.
Yeah.
So it's to think that people sit around a table like this and make the kind of decisions they make is pretty awe-inspiring.
Not only does this museum give you an up-close and personal experience with the 70s, it really gives you a sense of the importance and complexities of the presidency and the accomplishments of Gerald Ford. If you're looking for a place to feel presidential, pop into the Gerald R. Ford Library and Museum. Oh, and the Oval Office? It really is oval. Cool.
You know, there's this really cool diner out east I wanted to show you, but I can't because this show is just about Michigan. But guess what? Somebody bought it and brought it all the way to Grand Rapids. Bonus.
It's called Pal's, a cool, classic diner that was built way back in 1954. That's when they made the finer diners. It's a one-of-a-kind, and Barry Brown and his wife Sam were kind enough to buy it and bring it all the way back to Michigan for us to enjoy.
So let me get this straight. You bought this thing and moved it all the way here from New Jersey.
Correct.
How'd that work out for you?
Oh my gosh, it's just, you know, you start becoming a tire kicker at the beginning. You really do.
Well, quick question. Did they charge you by the mile? Because I saw it took them over 1,600 miles. I looked at a map. I did the math. It's only like 700 miles.
Yeah, you take the routing they give you state by state. Yeah, 1,638 miles.
But I have to say it was totally worth bringing here because you're sitting on an absolute gem with this thing. I mean, they don't make them like this anymore, and I've never seen one quite like this. What would you call the color of the stools?
It's bubblegum pink, Pepto-Bismol pink, with salmon floors.
Yeah. Well, diners like this attract people with personality and characters and people that have a story, and they're just great places to be because it's just not your typical restaurant experience.
Now, as we all know, there's two sides to every story, especially a great one like this. So I spent some time with Sam.
Was buying this diner and moving in here your idea or Barry's idea?
Well, it's all his idea.
Knowing what you know now, Would you have moved this diner out here and done it all over again?
Yes, because we have done real well here, and the neighborhood here are really receptive.
You're saving a piece of history.
Yes.
I mean, this place, it's a gem, and it's something that should be carried on, and something that young kids now can come here,
Yes.
and it's like they step back in time. That's cool.
And it's amazing. Some of my servers that is working for me now, they used to come here when they were 3, 4 years old, and now they end up working for me, and another 3, 4 years, their kids might be working here.
Your kids working here.
Oh, my kids work here. Yeah, they have to work here. They work for food.
Was it worth driving this eatery all the way to Michigan? Well, just ask Pal's Diner Diners.
So I've heard of the Purple Gang before, but what are you guys supposed to be?
We're the Pink Ladies.
Oh, I noticed that. All this pink bother you?
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
The friendships I've made here have been remarkable.
Everybody's really friendly, and I like coming in here for liver and onions for breakfast, you know.
Liver and onions for breakfast?
Yeah, what else is there?
Okay, we love you too.
That's the sweetest thing that's ever happened to me on this show.
So if you get a chance, check out Pal's Diner. You'll leave full, happy, and with a whole lot of new friends. It's classic diner done right here in Grand Rapids.
You know, if you're like me, you like things that are made in Michigan. Well, here's a guy who's making guitars right here in Michigan that are being played around the world.
Only these guitars are being played by real guitarists. Meet Greg Apetik at Sinuous Guitars, a designer by day and musician by night who's combined his talents to make one of the most unique guitars you'll ever strum. Greg, along with Jeff Armstrong, are working hard to make this Michigan-made guitar a star in the music world.
So, Greg, were you a guitar nerd first or a design nerd or both?
I think a guitar nerd first. But I was also trying to design them the same time I was trying to play them.
How long have you been designing guitars?
Well, you know, I did my first in high school, but they were knockoff guitars, basically, and I quickly realized that authenticity was extremely important to me, so I kind of just put it on the back burner, and then after I went to school for design, I kind of got back into it.
Well, these guitars are, A, beautiful, B, so comfortable. I mean, what inspired the interesting design?
You know, I've said this before, I guess, and some people might be getting sick of me saying this, but you know, the world doesn't need any more electric guitars. There's so many out there, and they all look the same. So when I decided to design a guitar, I focused more on what the other guitar companies weren't doing and put my attention there. So instead of designing just a different cookie cutter shape, I designed it three-dimensional to fit to your body.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just so, to sit here like this, it almost feels like it's part of your body.
And once you hit that, and it feels like it just makes sense, you just kind of go with it.
Yeah, well, Jeff, you play too.
Sure.
I mean, what do you love about these guitars?
You know, I think it kind of resonates from what you said. It becomes kind of part of your body. After you've played one for a little while, it really kind of connects you with the instrument and in turn with the music.
Yeah, I'll be honest, there's a lot of people making guitars right now, but it's not very often that you see a guitar and it makes you stop and you look at it because the design is that different and that unique and that cool. And these guitars are that.
You know, if you boil craftsmanship down, it's really about, you know, two pieces of something coming together. It could be a piece of metal and a piece of wood. It could be two pieces of wood. It could be the finish to the wood. But if you boil that down, it's that meeting point, the neck joint, you know, the sanding, you know, all that, the way you break the edge, and that attention to detail.
It really is exciting on UTR when we catch a new business like Sinuous early on like this. The energy and enthusiasm these guys have for what they do is why we keep making this show, and why we love Michigan. I'm telling you, once you pick up one of these guitars, it's pretty hard to put it down. And once you come to Grand Rapids, you'll see why it's such a great place to expand your horizons, your waistline, and your love for innovation. So do what we do on UTR. Get in the car and explore Michigan. I guarantee you will be amazed.
Hey folks, you want to become part of the League of Extraordinary UTR Super Friends?
It's super easy. Just go to utrmichigan.com. You can watch episodes, tell us where to go next, get information on all the places we've been, and even get UTR wearables like I'm sporting right here. Oh, and you can even get our new book, Under the Radar, the First 50, featuring our first 50 episodes and DVDs of all of our shows. So become a UTR super friend today. Go to utrmichigan.com. It's super cool and super easy.
Under the Radar Michigan is brought to you in part by the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, investing in people, places, and partnerships to help transform Michigan and the Michigan economy. In cities, towns, and neighborhoods, people are building better places to live and better communities.
We all have one, that perfect spot, a special place we go to smooth out the ripples of the day. Our perfect spot is calling. Our perfect spot is Pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.